Greetings, traveler.
So let's start with Shady. What are your thoughts on the meta, right? So for those of you who don't know, Blizzard has just made a change where you have a difference in the draft, pretty huge difference. You can get mixed rarities offered, and all of the cards are somewhat similar power levels when they get offered. So what that means is that your draft is going to be a lot more challenging because you're no longer going to have, or you're going to have much less insta picks where you just go like, oh, hey, look, 2 trash cards and a really good card. I'm going to pick the really good card. So with that, I think the draft is really, really fun right now. I think there's so much testing that needs to be done. There are so many like cool strategies you can do, right? You can figure out which card is underrated and then build a strategy revolving around getting those cards. For instance, what Waggart has seen now is like they rate Divine Favor really low, which means you can consistently pick Divine Favor because it's going to be against bad cards, and then you can build a deck that where Divine Favor is good. Like those little things, and you can do that for all the classes. So it's going to be a lot of testing in there. So really, really happy with the draft change. I think it's really fun. Now, as far as the power level of cards, I think that can be toned down. Although right now I'm actually having a pretty good time, and I know people are saying, "Oh my God, it's so unskilled and it's so luck." And it's like, is it really? Because you have good cards, they have good cards. Maybe you just haven't learned to play around a bunch of good cards. So what this does, because like I've done 3 full runs now, and I have a 12, an 11, an 11, and I have a 9 win on 9 and 2. So obviously that's a very small sample size, right? So I can't sit here and claim, oh, all you have to do is just play well. But I think that a lot of the complaints are coming from people that are playing Arena kind of on autopilot, and they're not playing around specific things. Whereas in this run, there were multiple instances where Waggart and I were like, okay, so he's going to Steed. Okay, so he's going to Vinecleaver. Okay, so he's going to Statue. So if you play like that, your plays are going to change. So if you play the same way that you did when the power level of the cards was much lower, then obviously you're going to get worse results because you're not going to play around particular cards as much as you're just going to do generic good plays. In that regard, I think the skill cap goes up a lot because now instead of just making generic good plays, you're going to have to be very specific about, okay, what is it that beats me? What is it that I have a high chance of having? Now, there are some cards that definitely are problematic, right? More MCTs is just never good. More Terrans, because some cards are just always nasty, right? Like Terran is just always nasty, and MC Tech is just blah. But you know, you can play more around it. But yeah, I don't know. It feels pretty bad to get MC Teched, that's for sure. Primordial Drake, having more Primordial Drakes, like there's some cards that are just blah. So is it perfect right now? No, far from. You can definitely do better. And I think that especially in the lower quality buckets, they can make way more distinctions because right now it feels like everything that's below average is just grouped together. So I think TLDR on that question is definitely room for improvement, but it's not as bad as people are saying it is right now, right? So after I've played with it a bit more, after you think about it more, you see that there is a lot of room to outplay your opponent. So, and I just haven't had enough time to even scratch the surface, right? To see, okay, which class is sleeper? How do I have, you know, is there any classes where I can draft this archetype very consistently, etc., etc., etc. So that's the first question. Then the second question people usually ask is, what are the best classes right now? The fast answer is, I don't know yet. I need to play more. But if you want to have an answer, obviously Paladin looks like it's going to be number 1. Mage looks like it's going to be up there. Shaman looks like it's going to be up there, but I haven't even played a Shaman yet. I've had good success with both Druid and Rogue. I've just been playing them faster, right? Like this Paladin was also somewhat fast. It feels like it's going to be a bad strategy to try and out-quality your opponent. And I think that's probably what people are trying to do. And then they get frustrated because the opponent has 2 Lich Kings and you don't. So the problem is probably more that you're not approaching the draft in the correct manner. I think you need to focus on being aggressive. So be that either really low curve aggression as the deck we just had. Let me pull it up. Because this deck went 11, could have definitely done worse for sure, but it did go 11. And it curved out with 4 5-drops and 2 Vine Cleavers. That was a curve, so that's a really low curve these days. It had a couple 1s, it had a couple 2s, right? So I think you can either do this, but then you need some refill mechanics, or you can do more an aggressive mid-range style, right? So that's the that's the answer for now, right? Probably Paladin, Mage, Shaman are up there, Druid and Rogue. I can definitely see potential just playing more aggressive. I think Shaman you can probably play control because of Crackling Doom, but I yet have to draft a Shaman. All right, is there any other question people have usually? Do you think the new draft changes encourage people to draft greedier? Yeah, I mean, there's more shiny stuff, so there's more room for error because a lot of the time the shiny thing is not correct. It's just looking at the right card for your deck. There are certain cards that are definitely misplaced Voladil, like for instance Vorax shows up with legendaries it has no business showing up next to. Thoughtsteel apparently is in the shit buckets, Divine Favor is in the shit bucket, so those are not so good. Any chances for our boy Rexar this meta? I yet have to try it out, but I'll have to see, right? I'll have to see. Second run, Nars. Have you played of the arena-only cards yet? Thoughts on them? Smoke Bomb is great. Stealthing your opponent's taunt is super fun. Crackling Doom's probably really good. I haven't played it yet. Then, obviously the Warrior Weapon is nuts. There's another one that's just pretty good, like Warrior Weapon, Crackling Doom, Smoke Bomb, and maybe like the Druid one I haven't seen yet. All right.